Thank you very much. Firstly, let me acknowledge the traditional custodians of our beautiful land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I also pay my respects to the elders both past and present. I also adopt the formula suggested by or adopted by the Mayor to all the VIPs in the room, the many VIPs in the room, and distinguished guests, friends, one and all. Now, John Alexander started with Ni Hao Ma, and well done, John, well done. But my understanding is it's because there's a lot of people in the room, it should be Ni Men Hao Ma. Alright? There you go. Thank you. I've got a great teacher. And obviously to my Korean friends, annyeonghaseyo. To my Indonesian friends, salamat malam. And given we're in the month of Ramadan, assalamu alaikum. So I think I'll cover the deal. It was very interesting to hear what Hugh Lee said about AAAB, and that is, you're not about building empires, you're about building communities. So you have no idea how much pride and joy it is to be the Minister for Citizenship and Communities in this great state of ours. To think that I come from a community such as Ryde, which is in my view the heart of Bennelong, is so rewarding for me to know that my community leaders like you are about building communities. And when I see the multicultural face of this great audience today, it warms my heart, I promise you. There's a couple of things I'd like to speak about tonight. First is my hat as the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, and I'll give you an example about how important culture is. And secondly, how I see and how, more importantly, the government sees multiculturalism, the Barry O'Farrell government. First, let me start with Aboriginal Affairs. I've only been the Minister for 142 days, but who's counting? And in that time, I've spent a lot of time in Western New South Wales, in particular visiting remote communities. And you've probably seen all the images on TV and on the papers, and what you see is pretty much what it's like. It is very tough out there for some of these communities that not only struggle with decades of governmental neglect, and that's across all sides of politics really, but they also suffer the tyranny of distance. For them to go, for example, the people in Wilcannia, for them to go and do a standard shop to get fresh fruit and vegetables, they need to get on a bus, pretty much go to the closest town, which is Broken Hill. That's a 3-hour bus ride, and then do their shopping and then come back. So to do shopping for them, for their family, it takes the whole day. And that's just an example of the tyranny of distance out there. But notwithstanding the significant health problems they've got and the fact that the job rate in Aboriginal communities is, in remote areas is over 50%, and across New South Wales it's about 21%. Notwithstanding the terrible problems that they face that we all need to address as a society, a civilised society, when I go out there, I say, well, look, what's the most important thing to you? What would you like us as a government to do for you as the Aboriginal community? And almost universally, what they tell me is that we want the government to give us back our culture and our language. They say they want the education of their culture and their language front and centre of new initiatives. And that's interesting to me coming from this background, because I've now realised how important it is to have our own culture and our own language. Obviously my background's Italian, but there's a lot of people here whose background is Chinese or Korean or Indian or Indonesian or the like. And it's so important that you teach your children about your heritage, because that's the great part about being Australian, our capacity to embrace other cultures within our own and to be proud of it. So as that then leads me to the second segue, and that is multiculturalism, how we see it. In New South Wales, Barry O'Farrell, my Premier, our Premier, he's very proud of multiculturalism. He doesn't just see it as a slogan or a catchphrase. He actually sees it as a way of life. And he really believes that multiculturalism is an extraordinary asset of our state, our great state. Now, there's no doubt that there are going to be challenges ahead. We all know what the financial markets are doing, and people overseas are nervous. But we're in a very robust position here in Australia. We are the lucky country. We are, in my mind, the greatest country on earth. But we are great because we have great people here. And our multicultural base, people I see in front of me today, you are our strength and our asset when challenges arise. And we propose as a government to lever off that asset, because we know that with at least 1 in 4 people in New South Wales being born from an overseas country, we have to use that for the benefit of all people in our great state. I'd just like to finish on a couple of points, and one is, as the Minister for Multiculturalism, I'm responsible for, effectively, the Multicultural Act. And there's 2 sections of the Act. The first section of the Act is, and it basically says, look, we are a state that celebrates religious, cultural, and racial diversity. We celebrate it. There's no doubt. I see it in our beloved hometown here in Ryde and in Bennelong. But the second part of the Act is that we all need to embrace the values that bring us together, the rule of law, the Australian rule of law, the New South Wales rule of law for that matter, because these are the things that bind us together. You know, we all have different backgrounds, but the thing that unites me and you, the thing that unites you and that person over there, is the fact that we live in this beautiful country and that we love this country and we want to protect and preserve this beautiful land of ours. And I think if we celebrate, and I can say this to this group because I regard you as not only my friends but in many ways my extended family, because this is where I'm from. And I think if we concentrate as much as we do on celebrating our backgrounds, and I'm there to celebrate it as much as anybody, but we also take time to celebrate the things that unite us as well, that will provide us all with a greater sense of harmony and development in our great state. So, look, thanks again for having me. I go out to functions almost every night of the week these days, but to come back home to Ryde and to speak to people that I care deeply about and to be part of as I said, not just friends amongst us here, your extended family to me, is just deeply warming to my heart. So, mille grazie, and thank you very much.